Venezuela is a land of extremes, where waterfalls fall from the sky, ancient mountains guard lost worlds, and nature still moves by its own rules. Before we continue deeper, if you haven't seen part 1, click the link in the description or pinned comment below to watch the full beginning of this journey. That is where Venezuela first reveals itself. Médanos de Coro. After islands shaped by water, after forests that hold their ground, the journey enters a place that refuses stillness. Here, the land itself is moving. Médanos de Coro National Park lies on a narrow bridge of earth, connecting the Paraguaná Peninsula to mainland Venezuela. 91 square kilometers of sand, not arranged, not contained, alive. This is a desert in motion. Dunes rise as high as 40 meters, then shift, reshape, and disappear. Driven by persistent trade winds, the sand migrates slowly, relentlessly, sometimes far enough to bury roads, sometimes far enough to swallow buildings whole. Nothing here settles, everything moves. What makes Médanos de Coro truly unsettling and unforgettable is its location. A real desert, standing shoulder to shoulder with the turquoise waters of the Caribbean Sea. Heat and salt, sand and surf. A contradiction that somehow survives. Just beyond the dunes, the city of Coro watches quietly. Founded in 1527, it is the oldest city in western Venezuela and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Spanish colonial architecture, preserved in sun-baked tones, standing in sharp contrast to the restlessness of the sand nearby. Stone remembers, sand forgets. My first step onto the dunes stopped me in place. The light was overwhelming. Under the tropical sun, the sand glowed gold, almost metallic, as if the ground were reflecting the sky back at itself. I chose the tallest dune in sight and began to climb. Each step sank backward. Progress erased instantly. The body worked harder than the distance suggested. Exhaustion arrived quickly. So did exhilaration. And when I reached the top, everything fell away. Everything fell away. No roads, no buildings, no landmarks, only an ocean of sand, rising and falling like frozen waves. In that moment, I felt less like a traveler and more like a character misplaced in time. A wanderer lost inside a story from 1001 Nights. But Médanos de Coro is not only beautiful. There is sadness here. Half-buried houses emerge from the sand. Roofs tilted, walls fading into dunes. They stand as reminders. Nature does not negotiate. It advances. And humans, whether we like it or not, must learn to adapt. Yet, as the sun begins to lower, the desert changes again. Shadows stretch, curves soften. The dunes take on human shapes, gentle, almost tender, as if harshness itself were capable of grace. In that light, the desert reveals its secret. Beauty does not require comfort. Life here survives through precision. Vegetation is sparse, but resilient. Cacti, drought-tolerant plants, rooted deep, waiting patiently. Beneath the sand, endemic lizards dart for cover, perfectly adapted to a world that never stops shifting. The climate reinforces the lesson. Air temperatures hover between 27 and 30 degrees Celsius, but the sand, under midday sun, can reach 60 degrees. A surface too hot to linger on, a reminder to keep moving. Beside this ever-changing desert, Koro remains, centuries old, unmoving, a silent witness, watching dunes advance and retreat, while history stands its ground. Métanos de Koro teaches a simple truth. Stability is an illusion. The world is not designed to stay still, and neither are we. And sometimes, the most powerful beauty exists in places that refuse to settle, that demand adaptation, and that remind us movement itself is part of survival. The Orinoco Delta. After deserts that move, after islands shaped by wind and trade, the journey enters a place where everything flows. The Orinoco River is one of South America's great arteries. It stretches for more than 2,000 kilometers, carrying rain from distant highlands, collecting memory from forests, moving steadily toward the sea. And when it arrives, it does not end, it opens. The river fans outward into a vast delta, nearly 30,000 square kilometers of water, splintered into thousands of channels, braided together like veins beneath the skin of the earth. Here, fresh water meets salt, forest meets ocean. Nothing is fixed. This is one of the most biodiverse regions on the planet, not because it is stable, but because it is constantly negotiating balance. Life thrives in transition. I spent only a few days living alongside the Warao people, but those days quietly dismantled assumptions I didn't know I carried. Warao means people of the canoe, and it is not a metaphor. Their lives unfold on water. They are born here. They grow here. They cook, sleep, and age on boats and palafitos, wooden stilt houses raised gently above the river's slow currents. The river is not scenery, it is structure. I remember paddling through narrow channels, where the rainforest closed overhead, branches meeting like clasped hands. The light dimmed, the air thickened. Then came the sound, the roar of howler monkeys. Low, vibrating, ancient. It echoed through the canopy like a voice from another era, a reminder that this forest still speaks in a language older than memory. It sent a chill through me, not from fear, but from recognition. At night, the delta transforms again. There is no electricity, no distant glow on the horizon, only darkness, layered and complete. Fireflies drift above the water, small, precise points of light, moving without urgency. Fish break the surface, brief splashes, then silence returns. In that darkness, with nothing demanding attention, a realization settles in. Humans do not need much to be happy. Not accumulation, not speed, only harmony. The Warao understand this instinctively. Their culture is woven, literally, from the land. Fibers from the Maurice palm become baskets, mats, tools. They call it the tree of life. And the name is not symbolic. It provides food, material, shelter, an entire way of life sustained by a single species, respected, not exploited. The scale of the river reinforces that humility. At peak flow, the Orinoco can discharge up to 33,000 cubic meters of water per second. It ranks third in the world for the volume of fresh water released into the sea. Power without spectacle. The Delta Amacuro region holds one of the largest mangrove conservation areas on Earth, a green buffer quietly protecting coastlines, filtering water, and sheltering life at its most vulnerable stages. Mangroves do not dominate the landscape. They stabilize it. They are patience made visible. The Orinoco Delta is not a place you simply pass through. It is a system, a circulatory network, carrying nutrients, stories, and rhythm through a rainforest that remembers how the world once breathed. Here, movement is not escape, it is survival. And as the river continues toward the Atlantic, unchanged by our presence, it leaves behind a quiet truth that life does not require control, only flow. Merida, after rivers that breathe, after forests and deltas that flow without pause, the journey begins to rise. The city of Merida rests quietly, at 1,600 meters above sea level, held between two arms of the Andes Mountains, where air cools and movement slows. From below, the peaks feel distant, but here, distance is only temporary. Above the city, a line ascends into the sky, the Mucumbari cable car, not simply a mode of transport, but a transition. It is recognized as the highest and longest cable car system in the world when height and length are considered together. 12.5 kilometers of ascent, 5 stations, a gradual climb from the foothills to nearly 5,000 meters above sea level. The journey upward is not abrupt, it is layered. With each station, the world changes. Forests thin, air sharpens, color fades, then returns in unexpected forms. The lower slopes breathe with cloud forest, moist, green, alive with movement. Higher still, pine forests appear, unexpected, orderly, quiet. Then the Paramo emerges, a high-altitude ecosystem, open, exposed, home to the frailejones, plants that grow only 1 centimeter per year. Slow, deliberate, unyielding to urgency. Some of the plants standing there today have been rooted for more than 2 centuries, watching weather repeat itself again and again. Beyond them, ice takes over, wind sharpens its voice, and the world narrows to sky, stone, and breath. I remember stepping out of the cable car at the final station. The air struck first, thin, cold. It rushed into my lungs with no concern for comfort. At nearly 5,000 meters, the sky changed color. It was no longer blue. It deepened, darkened, approaching black. The sensation was unsettling. As if the atmosphere itself had thinned enough to reveal the edge of space. Looking down, the Merida Valley disappeared beneath clouds, not mist, not fog. Entire blankets of white, rolling, drifting, suspended below my feet. The city vanished completely. I stood beside the statue of the Virgin of Peace atop Pico Espejo. Wind roared without pause. Human sound could not survive here. Words were unnecessary. The silence was not gentle, but it was complete. In that stillness, something loosened. The weight of scale reshaped perspective. Ego dissolved, not through effort, but through insignificance. Here, the Andes do not invite admiration. They impose humility, and in return, they offer clarity. Life below continues, unaware of who stands above it. That separation matters. The Andes have shaped culture as surely as they have shaped land. The people of this region, known as Los Gauchos, carry the mountains in their character, warm, grounded, unhurried. High above Merida, the Andes ask nothing of you. No applause, no reverence, only awareness. The earth feels vast, the sky feels close, and human concerns, once loud, drift quietly away, lost among clouds that continue their slow passage long after you descend. A small ice cream shop that once held a Guinness World Record for offering more than 860 flavors, from rose petals to sardines. Whimsical, unapologetic, a reminder that creativity thrives even at altitude. The Mukumbari cable car reopened in 2016, rebuilt with Swiss and Austrian engineering, quietly blending precision with landscape. Technology here does not dominate, it submits. High above Merida, the Andes ask nothing of you. No applause, no reverence, only awareness. The earth feels vast, the sky feels close, and human concerns, once loud, drift quietly away, lost among clouds that continue their slow passage long after you descend. Catatumbo lightning. After mountains that pierce the sky, after cold air and thinning breath, the journey moves back toward heat, toward water, toward a phenomenon that does not belong to land alone, nor fully to the sky. At the meeting point of the Catatumbo River and Lake Maracaibo, something extraordinary happens. Night after night, the atmosphere ignites. This is not a single storm, not a rare event. It is a cycle. Catatumbo lightning, known locally as Relampago del Catatumbo, is one of the most unique meteorological phenomena on Earth. Here, lightning does not arrive with surprise, it returns. This region holds a world record, the highest lightning density ever measured. An average of 250 lightning strikes per square kilometer each year. The storms appear on 140 to 160 nights annually. Each night, they can last up to 10 hours. At their peak, lightning flashes nearly 300 times per hour. And yet, what makes Catatumbo truly unsettling is not the frequency. It is the silence. That night, I sat on a wooden platform above the dark surface of Lake Maracaibo. No wind, no waves, only thick, waiting air. Then, without warning, the sky opened, light tore across the horizon, not a single bolt, but many. White, green, violet, red. They branched, overlapped, layered themselves into a lattice of electricity. Unlike ordinary storms, there was no thunder, the lightning forms high in the atmosphere, too distant for sound to reach the ground. What remains is light alone, pure, relentless, so constant that the darkness never fully returns. You could read by it. At midnight, it felt less like weather and more like creation in progress, as if the sky were rehearsing the birth of stars. I felt small, not threatened, but exposed. This was power without violence, intensity without chaos, a beauty that demanded respect, not comfort. For centuries, sailors relied on this phenomenon. They called it the Lighthouse of Maracaibo, long before GPS, before radar, before modern navigation. This light guided ships safely through unfamiliar waters. The people who live here understand the sky differently. To the Bari people, the lightning is not random. They believe it is formed by millions of fireflies, gathering in the heavens, their light offered in tribute to the gods who shaped the world. Myth, again, speaks a language science does not replace, because Catatumbo lightning is not only spectacle, it serves the planet. Each strike triggers chemical reactions that produce nitrogen oxides, compounds that help replenish the ozone layer. Some scientists consider this region one of the largest natural contributors to ozone regeneration on Earth. Energy here does not disappear, it transforms. The electrical current of a single bolt can reach 400,000 amperes. Enough raw power, in theory, to light all of Latin America if such force could ever be contained. But it cannot, and perhaps it should not be. Some forces are not meant to be captured. They exist to remind us that the planet is alive, that it moves energy in ways far beyond our design. As the storm continued, hour after hour, I stopped trying to understand it. I simply watched. Light, darkness, light again. No beginning, no conclusion, just rhythm. Catatumbo lightning is not a destination. It is a reminder, written across the sky, that Earth does not perform for us. It expresses itself. And sometimes, if we are quiet enough and patient enough, we are allowed to witness one of its most powerful conversations in silence. Colonia Tovar, after storms that light the sky, after forces too vast to contain, the journey settles into something quieter, something human. High in the coastal mountains of Aragua State, at 1,800 meters above sea level, there is a village that feels slightly out of place. Not wrong, just unexpected. Colonia Tovar appears like a memory misplaced by geography, a fragment of Europe resting gently inside the Venezuelan tropics. It was founded in 1843 by immigrants from Germany's Black Forest. They crossed an ocean, then disappeared into the mountains. For more than a century, the settlement remained almost completely isolated. Roads were scarce. Communication was limited. The outside world moved on, while life here held its shape. That isolation preserved something rare: language, tradition, architecture, not as performance, but as habit. The town that emerged feels unmistakably European. Fachwerk houses, timber-framed structures, dark beams crossing pale walls, roofs steep enough to shed mountain rain and fog. Around them, fields of strawberries and raspberries spread across the slopes. The climate stays cool year-round, an average of 16 degrees Celsius. Mist drifts easily through the valley. Only a few hours away, the Caribbean coast burns under tropical heat. Here, air feels lighter, time feels slower. I remember driving up the winding mountain road, each turn climbing deeper into cloud. Then suddenly, rooftops appeared, sharp angles, wooden frames, fog spilling over them, as if it belonged there. The scent arrived next: apple strudel, fresh bread, grilled sausages, comforting, familiar, and entirely unexpected. But the scenery, as striking as it was not what stayed with me. It was the people. Many have blonde hair, blue eyes, faces that echo another continent. Yet they speak Spanish with the warmth, the rhythm, the openness of Venezuela. They carry two histories, without conflict, proud of their German roots, deeply loyal to the land that sheltered their ancestors. Sitting in a small cafe, a locally brewed beer in hand, looking out across a green valley, I understood something quietly profound. Venezuela is not a single story. It is a conversation. A place where cultures do not collide. They overlap, they adapt, they soften one another, and something new grows in between. Tradition here does not remain frozen. During Carnival, the streets come alive. Jokili appears, a clown figure from the Black Forest, reimagined through South American color, movement, and joy. European roots, Latin rhythm, not imitation, transformation. Daily life is just as grounded. Colonia Tovar supplies much of Caracas with temperate fruits and vegetables, strawberries, peaches, lettuce, quiet labor, feeding a capital city below. Even language tells a story of transition. Until the 1940s, an archaic German dialect, Aleman Coloniero, remained the dominant tongue. Gradually, Spanish took over, not by force, but by proximity. Change arrived slowly, as it often does in the mountains. Colonia Tovar does not feel like a destination. It feels like dialogue between continents, between centuries, between identities. It reminds us that culture is not fragile. It travels, it adapts, it remembers, and sometimes, far from where it began, it finds a way to bloom quietly without losing its roots. To speak in their own rhythm. If you enjoyed this journey and want to continue exploring the beautiful yet mysterious worlds of our planet, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss what comes next. We wish you a life filled with peace. Your support makes these stories possible. Thank you for spending this time with us. Thank you for listening slowly, for traveling with curiosity, and for allowing these landscapes